What if Anakin perfected all lightsaber forms during the Clone Wars? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Anakin takes a deep breath and grips his lightsaber tightly. He then steps forward and swings his weapon at an imaginary foe, imagining Dooku standing before him. Their previous fight on Geonosis plays through his mind once again as he recalls how fast Dooku seemed despite his advanced age. Despite being over 3 times as old as him, nothing seemed to have dulled Dooku's reflexes. His movements were like a viper, swift and sudden, already having trapped him before he even made his move. As the imaginary duel plays out, Anakin can already picture Dooku, intercepting his strikes and then driving them back. Before he even realizes it, his lightsaber slips from his hand and drops to the ground. Cursing, Anakin bends down to pick it up. He needs to get stronger and faster if he's going to survive. He keeps telling himself that, and fails to notice the Jedi approaching.
Anakin, I sense much turbulence in you, my young Padawan.
Master, I was just training. Indeed. We saw you when you started. That was hours ago. Get some rest, Skywalker. You've earned it. You need it with your injury. It is because of my injury that I can't rest. How long will it be until I have to face Dooku again? I need to be ready.
Anakin, you acquitted yourself admirably in that fight. Dooku was one of our best. You will not become a master swordsman overnight.
Not to mention the Count's fighting style is designed for lightsaber duels. Jem So is ill-suited for that kind of combat. I know. Believe me, I know.
He takes a deep breath and finds himself thinking long and hard about it. With the Clone Wars breaking out, one thing would become very clear, and that is they will be fighting more than ever. That means they will encounter situations that the Jedi aren't used to, and they will need to be ready. The Battle of Geonosis was a sharp lesson in that. 200 Jedi would have been enough to handle most situations, yet it didn't stop them from being overwhelmed by the sheer number of droids. If Anakin is to survive, then he will need to train, not just in Jem So or Makashi. He would need to learn it all, so he can cover all his weaknesses. But Anakin refuses. He won't allow himself to be outmatched again. If Dooku can master Makashi, then he will master it too, and more. He watches Sin Dralik, one of the Order's greatest swordsmen, demonstrating Sorasu's defensive sequences. Anakin mimics the movements, absorbing them like a sponge, but impatience burns inside him. He doesn't want to defend, he wants to overwhelm. When Sin offers to explain him his experiences, Anakin politely refuses and says he has other lessons.
This form focuses on endurance, Skywalker. It is not about overpowering your enemy. It's about outlasting them.
Anakin nods, but his mind races ahead, thinking about Ataru's acrobatics, Niman's balance, Joyu's raw aggression. He spends hours studying different forms, training with Jedi Masters, sparring against droids, consuming everything the archives have on lightsaber combat, but he doesn't absorb their philosophies, only their movements. His training intensifies. Day and night he pushes himself, blending forms, layering his techniques, but never truly refining them. He spars with Jedi of all skill levels, challenging them, forcing himself into duels that test his adaptability. He wins most, loses some, but each loss stings, fueling his obsession. And then, the war calls him back to the battlefield. On a separatist-held world, the city streets burn as blaster fire rages around them. Anakin carves through battle droids, weaving between styles, testing his newfound versatility. Against these droids, it is of little issue, as they fall like wheat to the scythe. Against Magna Guards, it's harder. Their electrostaffs meet his blade, and his shifting techniques begin to falter as the droids stand relentless and aggressive. One strike slips through his guard, slicing across his shoulder. He abandons precision for raw strength. Then, Ventress appears. Her twin red sabers ignite, casting a menacing glow on her face.
I can smell your desperation, Skywalker. You reek of uncertainty.
Anakin tightens his grip. He falls into Jem So, launching into an aggressive flurry, but Ventress is ready. She crosses her lightsabers and lets him batter himself against her before starting to slow down. Seeing strength failing, he shifts to Makashi, attempting to outmaneuver her and pierce her defenses. His footwork is off. His blade hesitates between forms, uncertain. This allows her to prepare against these attacks. A kick to his ribs sends him stumbling back. Her sabers flash in a crimson whirlwind. Anakin defends, shifting to Soresu, but his blocks are inefficient, rushed as he tries to regain the offensive instead of waiting her out. A searing line of pain burns across his arm as her blade grazes his skin as a punishment.
Your problem, Skywalker, is that you know everything, but understand nothing.
Anakin growls, but she's right. His body wants to respond with Gemso, but his mind urges him toward Mukashi's counters. His instincts scream for Aturu's speed, but his training falters. He is everything, and at the same time, nothing. Instead, he relies on pure instinct, doing whatever comes to mind. When she strikes high, he barely blocks as she bats it aside and kicks him back. Then she slashes upward. Anakin barely sidesteps, swinging wildly. She ducks, sweeps his legs, and he crashes onto his back. Her blade hovers inches from his throat. For the first time in a long while, Anakin Skywalker stares at death. A blaster shot from a nearby clone trooper forces Ventress back, giving Anakin just enough time to roll to his feet. He pants, rage boiling in his chest. He wants to charge at her again, but he knows he'll lose. Thankfully, the clones begin arriving, entire squads of them that force Ventress to break off.
You're not ready, Skywalker. Try not to die before we meet again.
With a spin of her sabers, she disappears into the shadows, leaving Anakin humiliated, wounded, and furious. That night, as the Republic secures the city, Anakin sits alone, clutching his lightsaber. His hands tremble. He should be the greatest warrior in the galaxy. He should be invincible. But he's not. Not yet. He needs more than knowledge. He needs mastery. And if the Jedi can't give it to him, then he'll find it elsewhere. Throwing himself into the sparring grounds and egging anyone who dares challenge him to take a chance. However, when no one shows up, he goes back to his imaginary foes. This time, the faces of Dooku and Ventress alternate, both confident and smiling at him. Their arrogance unnerves him, and he finds himself faltering again and again until he hears a chuckle behind him.
Skywalker, you know all that training won't matter if you won't be able to keep your eyes open in battle. Why not take a break? Master, I can't do that. I need to master all these techniques. And you think that just swinging your lightsaber around will do that? If that were the case, then anyone can be a Jedi. You need to do something more. Look around, Skywalker. You're just like these clones. A shadow of someone else. Are you saying I'm not my own person? These clones are designed to be the same as Jango Fett, in body. But they won't be in mind. That's because they never experienced the same things he did. And just the same way, you won't learn to be a master swordsman just by copying movements. Mastery of the Force doesn't come from memorization or repetition, though some Jedi might argue otherwise. It comes from careful study and understanding. Is that what you did? I did. During my time studying tracking, I didn't read tests or pick up a manual. I went into the wilderness and studied the animals. Truly studied them. I observed their behavior. I understood why they do it. And I learned to add it to my arsenal. If you were to master these lightsaber forms, Skywalker, that is what you should do as well. It takes time, but you cannot rush it. Without understanding, what you do is simply waving your lightsaber around like a fool. Alright, I understand the point you're getting at, Master. But how do I master lightsaber combat with the war going on? Now you're asking the real questions. Truthfully, you cannot. There is always something to do, but not enough time to do it. This requires you to learn when and where to commit your time. So, ask yourself, what matters more to you? To lead this war effort, or to master lightsaber combat?
Quinlan takes his leave, excusing himself, and leaves Anakin with his thoughts. Though it sounds simple, it's harder than Anakin expected. He understands the importance of this war and the role he must play. The galaxy is suffering, and they need every Jedi they can get to end Dooku. However, he also realizes he cannot be much use if he cannot win battles. The best way to do that is to master all aspects of being a Jedi, especially lightsaber combat. This leaves him to reluctantly resign his command of the 501st to further hone his skills. At first, he offers only to retake some of his classes, visiting the same Jedi Masters he learned from, and to take more time understanding what their fighting style is. For weeks, he observes them, learning not just maneuvers, but philosophy and advice to help him maximize his potential. But soon enough, even this isn't enough for the young Jedi, who feels he must hone his skill through combat and experience. But rather than head to the front lines where the droids provide little challenge, Anakin instead begins to explore the galaxy, looking for foes in which to test his skills. Anakin stands at the edge of a dense jungle on Duxon, his lightsaber ignited. He slows his breathing, focusing on the beast before him. A massive Zakeg, armored and bristling with spikes, its yellow eyes locked on him. This is why he came. Not just to fight Jedi or Sith, but to understand battle itself. As the beast rushes forward, Anakin leaps back from each strike, dodging its claws. He doesn't want to win, at least not yet. His goal is to learn, to study its fighting style and how different lightsaber styles can be applied. He slips away from the front lines, seeking out the greatest warriors and most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. On Dathomir, he fought Night Sisters in the dead of night. On Mandalore, he dueled Mandalorian warriors, trained from birth in the art of combat. Dark Jedi, exiled swordsmen, even trained assassins, all become his teachers. Their skills forced into him through blood and sweat. Some become friends and allies, others remain foes and must be put down, but he learns from every encounter. But it isn't enough. He wants to push himself further, past the limits of Jedi training. He studied creatures, apex predators, whose entire existence was survival and combat. The Nexu's speed and unpredictability, the Terentatek's brute strength, the Krayt Dragon's patience. He studied them, fights them, and adapts to their instinct. The Zakag lunges, Anakin moves, shifting into Ataru, flipping over its head, but he lands too hard. His balance is off. The beast whirls faster than expected, nearly goring him. He twists midair, adjusting into Soresu, deflecting a blow that sends him skidding back. He grits his teeth. This is what he wants. This is what he needs. Over time, the forms become second nature, no longer separate disciplines, but a fluid, unpredictable dance. Juyo's aggression flows into Makashi's precision. Gemso's power turns into Niman's adaptability. It moves beyond the Jedi's structured teachings, creating something new, something dangerous. He takes another breath just as the Zakag charges again. This time, he is ready. He sidesteps the attack and slashes it across the flank. The beast roars in pain, throwing its head back, then squirming away, frightened and defeated. Anakin watches it go, not intending to pursue it. He's got what he wanted, and now he feels ready, making his way back to his ship. Anakin moves with renewed confidence. When he returns to civilization, the Jedi are stunned to see him, and even more confused by his request to return to the front lines. However, Master Plo Koon and Quinlan Vos sense the change in Anakin and vouch for him. Although he has less experience in command, he does not command his legion, but serves as a deputy for the Wolf Pack. This takes Anakin to the front lines for the first time in more than a year. A few of the clones look at him with uncertainty as they depart on a war-torn planet. They had been fighting in this place for almost a month, but the CIS commanders had dug in. As Commander Wolf explains the situation to him over a holomap, Anakin notices one area where the droids have dug in deep and are preventing the clones from making an advance.
General, the droids have turned that place into a killing field. We've tried 5 times to break it, but no dice. I can't risk any more men in an attack there.
I'm not asking you to risk men. I'm asking you to send me.
Alone? Sir, I've heard you're good, but...
Have a little faith in me, Commander.
Anakin stands at the edge of the battlefield, his eyes locked on the heavily fortified droid position ahead. Smoke rises from the trenches, and the metallic clatter of blaster fire echoes through the air. There were likely turrets hidden there as well. Behind him, the clones watch in uneasy silence, uncertain of what they were about to witness. Although Wolf offered to send them to assist him, Anakin told them to sit back and simply wait until he breaches their position. He gives one last smile before rushing forward, igniting his lightsaber as he rushes into the battlefield. The first line of droids barely has time to react before he cuts through the front ranks. Anakin's lightsaber seems to melt into a blur of light and energy, his form shifting seamlessly between techniques. He opens with Gemso, hammering powerful blows that smash through B-1 battle droids, sending their halves crashing to the ground. The moment a squad of B-2 super battle droids moves to support them, he changes to Soresu and avoids their fire to get close and finish them off. A trio of BX commando droids leaps toward him, vibroblades drawn. Anakin pivots into Ataru, twisting mid-flip, his lightsaber cutting them apart before his boots touch the ground. He barely stops moving. A wave of droids tries to reinforce their position, but Anakin is already adapting. He transitions to Xian, snatching a blaster from a fallen commando droid and firing rapid shots while cutting down those who get too close. When a towering crab droid stomps into view, its massive cannons locking onto him, he draws on Niman, using the Force to rip a chunk of durasteel from the wreckage and hurl it straight through the droid's legs. Explosions shake the ground, but Anakin presses on, sliding through the turret fire before lashing a hand out and crushing the blaster with the Force, sending an explosion that destroys the bunker. Soon, the battlefield is no longer a war zone. It's his proving ground. The clones watch in stunned silence as their impossible mission becomes a one-man assault.
By the stars.
As the last droid falls, Anakin deactivates his lightsaber and surveys the smoldering wreckage. He turns back to the wolf pack, nodding slightly.
Your turn.
With renewed confidence, the clones charge forward, finishing off the last remnants of the droid forces. The battle is won, but as they march through the wreckage, one thought lingers in their minds. Anakin Skywalker is no mere Jedi. He is something else entirely. Soon enough, this becomes Anakin's role in the battlefield. While he has little experience to command, his skills with a lightsaber are unmatched. Instead of being sent to command soldiers, they send Anakin to serve as a secret weapon. If there is a fortified position, a large droid force, or an enemy commander in need of being slain, Anakin is the Jedi they send for the job. With his mastery of lightsaber combat, there are few, if any, foes who can match him in a duel, and he rarely has trouble clearing these fortified places out. Under Plo Koon's leadership and Anakin's skill, the Wolfpack wins a string of victories across the Outer Rim, scoring many great achievements and making Anakin one of the Republic's greatest heroes. One person who takes notice is Palpatine. He receives reports of Anakin's success from Coruscant. He frowns and looks to the side. He has always known that Anakin was destined for greatness. His power is beyond what the Jedi understand, and this is why he wishes to take Anakin as his apprentice. However, he seems less certain now. The young Jedi has risen higher than ever expected. Rather than just become a warrior, he has turned into a force of nature. And that is what is bothering him. With Anakin's new skills, he is harder to control. Steadier, wiser, but also stronger. Palpatine hopes to manipulate him, but he also hopes to be strong enough to overpower him should he become difficult. But now he is less certain he can do it. While he considers turning Anakin, he must consider the possibility that Anakin is too risky to turn, and must instead try killing him. The next battle starts like any other. Anakin stands at the front of the clone forces, surveying the battlefield ahead. Another separatist stronghold, another fight to break through.
Same as last time, General. Droid infantry up front, auto turrets along the ridgeline, and an energy barricade blocking the main approach.
With that, he moves. Blaster fire rains down at Anakin, but these do nothing to slow him down as he deflects their shot or slides through attacks. By now, the movement is second nature to him, and he soon scales the wall, pressing his back against it as he dodges their blaster fire. Once he's atop the wall, the droids fall like easy prey. It's too easy. However, Anakin senses it too late. As he slices through the last row of droids guarding the entrance to the command center, the doors hiss open, and General Grievous stands before him.
Skywalker, I was beginning to think you wouldn't show.
I was beginning to think you'd keep running.
Grievous lunges, his vicious strikes rapid. Anakin meets him head on. Though he skids back from the attack, he doesn't break and dodges against the follow-up slash. Leaping in the air, he tries to stab at him at the shoulder. Grievous roars and rushes forward, his lightsaber is quickening as he rains down his attacks on him. Anakin intercepts every swing, sending sparks flying around them. Rather than avoid them, he uses the Force to redirect the sparks towards Grievous, who makes a clumsy swing forward. Anakin pivots, shifting into Makashi to parry Grievous's wild strikes. But as the cyborg general brings out 2 more arms, igniting 2 additional lightsabers, Anakin immediately shifts tactics, switching to Ataru, flipping over Grievous and landing behind him. Grievous spins, blades whirling, but Anakin is already moving. He flows into Jem Sho, hammering Grievous with powerful counterstrikes, forcing him back. The cyborg snarls, attempting to break away, but Anakin gives him no ground. Then, an opening. Grievous extends on a swing, and Anakin doesn't hesitate. He ducks under the attack, then drives his saber straight through Grievous's chest plating. The general lets out a choked, mechanical gasp as sparks burst from his body. Anakin twists the blade before yanking it free. Grievous collapses to his knees, his limbs twitching. However, he doesn't have time to finish the kill. A gunship lands nearby, and outsteps Master Plo Koon, flanked by Republic troopers. They see Grievous's burning body, and then Plo uses the Force to extinguish the fires. When he sees the confused look on Anakin's face, the older Jedi shakes his head.
Even destroyed, the General's body could prove useful.
He gestures for Wolf to take it away, bringing it to their headquarters for analysis. They begin picking through his ruined databanks, trying to make sense of why he suddenly appeared. Although they don't get much, as his body is badly damaged, they manage to pull out one fuzzy transmission of Grievous receiving orders from Dooku, saying his master wishes Anakin dead. Anakin's breath catches. He snatches the chip, quickly scanning the data on his wrist device. It's true. This was a trap from Dooku. He glances down at his robotic hand, feeling the rage starting to boil over.
I knew he'd be here. He sent Grievous after me. To kill me.
He understands why. Dooku must know of his abilities. After his success from the battlefield, he must have realized how dangerous Anakin is, and wanted to stop him from winning the war.
Skywalker, breathe. Do not act rashly.
I need to confront him. Now.
Then do what, exactly? Track him down and hunt him. Fight through his entire army. You are good, but are you good enough to take that?
We'll see.
No. You will die.
You don't know that.
I do.
Maybe. But I suppose we'll find out.
Without waiting for another word, he storms off, leaving Plo Koon shaking his head. It isn't hard to track Dooku down. Recent reports have found him in a CIS staging ground. Although most intelligence sources believe he would have already left, Anakin is certain he is still there, and true to his instincts, he senses his presence as he lands. Rather than wait for backup, Anakin rushes in ahead, lightsaber igniting as he rushes at them. He is a whirlwind of destruction, cutting through everything that gets in his way. Droid after droid falls as his strikes blur together. Although blaster fire comes from all sides, nothing seems to slow him down as he barely feels it. His lightsaber deflects them with ease as he weaves through the chaos. He uses the Force to shield himself, pulling debris in front of them before throwing them back and adding to the destruction. By the time he crosses the staging ground, he leaves burning metal and severed limbs. At last, he reaches the central command chamber. The doors slide open, revealing Count Dooku, standing tall with his crimson lightsaber humming in hand.
Impressive, Skywalker. Although be warned, I will not give you a break from that little stunt. The real duel begins now. Fine by me. I know you tried to have me killed. You're afraid. Oh, not afraid. Simply prepared.
Dooku moves in, striking Anakin's blade with a powerful thrust, sending the young Jedi crashing to the floor. Though he avoids it, a follow-up slash nearly takes his head, but Anakin rolls aside. As he's on the floor, he twists and gets back into position, slashing at Dooku, who turns and parries the strike. It lets Anakin get back to his feet, and then comes at him. His lightsaber flashes across the night, raining attacks down in a brilliant display of blue against crimson. As their lightsabers clash, Anakin recalls his last duel with Dooku. The Count remains as skilled as ever, as his speed is impressive, but his attacks are not as solid, and more blows miss their mark. Dooku seems to be shifting to the defensive. Anakin takes this boost and advances, unleashing a sweeping thrust with enough strength to stagger him. Although he doesn't fall, Anakin continues to press him. He shoves Dooku back, following with a kick. At the last second, Dooku halts the killing blow that follows and twists aside, but Anakin does not let him go so easily. He unleashes an upward slash that leaves Dooku stumbling back, but then he feels a burst of lightning come from behind. Palpatine steps from the shadows.
You are powerful, my boy. Too powerful. Perhaps it is time we rid ourselves of this problem.
Anakin's eyes widen. He tries to push himself up, but another burst sends him falling to his knees. Dooku raises his lightsaber for the killing blow, and then the walls explode inward. Through the smoke and debris, Plo Koon, Quinlan Vos, and Obi-Wan Kenobi appear.
This party's over.
Anakin, move.
Anakin barely has time to roll aside as Obi-Wan intercepts Dooku's strike. Plo Koon extends a hand, using the Force to blast Palpatine away, their lightning strikes meeting in an explosion. From it, Quinlan Vos leaps forward and rushes at Palpatine. The two clash lightsabers as Plo joins them.
You fools dare interfere.
Lightning crackles at his fingertips, but Plo Koon is faster, hurling a massive force push that slams the Sith Lord backward. Dooku, realizing the tides have turned, faces Obi-Wan and Anakin. The two Jedi rush at him, their lightsabers striking hard and fast. They go from opposite sides as Dooku struggles to defend. He rushes towards Obi-Wan first, but the older Jedi is ready. While he isn't as skilled as Anakin, his defense is impeccable.
How did you know?
Because I know you, Anakin.
And this is the sort of thing you do. Plus, Master Plo realized Grievous wasn't the trap. He was the bait.
They wanted you here, but now we can turn it against them.
I owe you one, Master.
He suddenly strikes at Dooku's side, forcing him to break off his attack. Dooku tries to defend, but then Obi-Wan comes in from the side. He grabs him by the forearm and holds him in place, just as Anakin uses the Force to slam him against the wall. In the meantime, Plo and Quinlan have things under control with Palpatine, their lightsabers flashing as they rain down attacks on him. The Chancellor grits his teeth and steps back, parrying their strikes. While they aren't faltering, they haven't gained an advantage either, as the Chancellor keeps them at bay. He begins to give ground, focusing on parrying attacks as he tries to outlast them. Anakin recognizes this trick immediately and rushes forward. He slides low, slashing his lightsaber at him. Palpatine twists back and faces him, blocking this strike, but then leaps back as the two Jedi Masters rush at him. Obi-Wan joins a moment later, aiming to cut across his eyes, but he somehow avoids that as well and unleashes a burst of Force energy that throws the three Jedi back. However, Anakin remains standing, and the two advance on each other. With a snarl, Palpatine rushes at him, lightsaber raised over his head, but Anakin is faster and shoves him back. Blinking in surprise, the Chancellor rushes at him, his lightsaber spinning in an arc of pure destruction as the dark energies form around it. Rather than wait for it to come at him, Anakin springs forward and their lightsabers clash in an explosion of energy. The two of them trade blows, shifting through stances and fighting styles, which is now a second nature. Anakin grins and parries each blow before stepping forward. For a moment, there is a flicker of panic in Palpatine's face as Anakin shoves him back. He sidesteps, but Anakin feints to the side and grazes his stomach. Seeing the battle is going poorly, Palpatine tries to leap over him, but Anakin grabs his leg and throws him back down, sending the Chancellor sprawling. At the last moment, he unleashes a burst of lightning, but Anakin blocks this attack. The three Jedi Masters then leap forward and drive their lightsabers into him. With Palpatine dead, Dooku is taken into custody and brought before the Senate. There, they interrogate him and learn about his role in the Clone Wars and how Palpatine convinced him to start it. As they discuss peace, Anakin continues to put pressure on the CIS, wiping out their forces. But under the advice of Master Plo Koon and Quinlan Vos, Anakin also begins spending time in the Jedi Temple, learning to reconnect with his fellow Jedi and pass on his teachings. Seeing his growth in such a short time, alongside his masterful teaching with other Jedi and the younglings, the Council makes Anakin a master and part of the Jedi Council, the youngest ever. While settling into his council position, Yoda continues to watch over Anakin carefully, slowly grooming him to become the next Grand Master of the Jedi Order. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.